Howdy y'all, Scully here, welcoming you back to our map completion run of Euro Truck Simulator 2 here on the multiplayer server. I'm not too sure where we left off at. Looks like we need to do some exploration. Where are we at? Geneva. Make sure we get that radio off. Oops. Did I get repairs last time? Yep. So we should be good to go. Yeah, I was a little bit sad. I was looking back through one of my episodes and I found a video that I needed to go back and re-edit. So I took it down off YouTube and forgot to look on my hard drive to see if I actually had the video stored, and turns out I didn't. So I actually lost video 2 out of a 4-part series for that day. So that was a little disappointing. 'Cause normally what I'll do is I'll record a day, go back, do the edits and all that stuff, and then do the uploads at night, and then go back and record another day and repeat that process, and then remove the videos off the drive so they're not taking up much space. Turn. Once again, I forgot to say how many people are online. I'm gonna assume quite a few. We've already got, looks like 5 or 6 players here. And this isn't the major hub where people hang out at, so. See if we can sleep in here to reset our cargo. Nice. Check out the map. Yeah, alright. Couldn't have timed that light any better. Let's see how far are we on map completion. Oh wow, 36%. We are getting there, nearly halfway. Wonder if we can hit 45 today. I need to go in there, but I don't want to hang out with this guy here. You know what? Actually, it's a good thing I didn't, because it was blocked off. Yeah, this is the shop that always gives me a problem. I always turn at the blocked off section. Alright, let's get some cargo. Lyle, or Lily. I think that looks good. Never fails. Turns green right after you stop. How's our gas doing? 3/4, not bad. $77,000. What was our next goal? I think it was a garage. I'll have to look at the things that we can buy, but I think our next goal is to purchase a garage and get us a truck so we can start hiring agents. Well, you really move when you don't have a trailer. Carrying an excavator. 54,000. That's our second highest cargo we've ever carried. I think the last one was 55,000. I can't remember the total. Let's set up some waypoints here. Might not have to. Looks like everything's pretty good so far. Yep. Alright, let's get her done. $439 miles. See if I can pull out of here without hitting that trailer in the back. Nice. I'll have to wash those corners and stuff because that load's pretty heavy. Now this last video I was running into quite a bit of stuff. I didn't turn on the beacons, did I? Oh, it looks like maybe I did. Yeah, I guess I did. I don't know. I guess we'll go ahead and fill up and I won't have to worry about it the rest of the trip. I don't remember turning on the beacons though. Yep, everything's on. Sweet. Maybe it's saved from yesterday. Well, we go from random topic, I guess. Got squirrels in the back, pretty friendly, pretty tame and friendly compared to most. I can usually walk out, be taking the trash out or whatever, and they don't run from you. You can get within, I don't know, 7 or 8 feet of them, and they won't even budge, like you're not even there. But I guess we got some babies out there somewhere. Noticed one that was about half the size of most of the squirrels we have around here, and he's a whole different story. I opened up the door to go outside. Man, he took off. Couldn't believe it. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to stop for that. I saw her too late. The squirrels are a mess, though. I like them. I like looking at them and all that, but man, they'll tear up your yard in a heartbeat. Left quite a bit of holes out there. Over at my granddad's, I've got a ton of bird feeders. Probably, I don't know, at least like a dozen. They fill it up with bird seed, and it's hilarious watching the squirrels climb up the tree, go over the tree, jump down onto the bird feeder, and sit there and eat the seeds and all that in some of the most uncomfortablest positions you can imagine. And I'm like, why didn't they just climb the pole? It would have been a whole lot easier. It's one of those things, you just have to see it. It's hilarious. I tell you, they are really strong for their size too. Watching them have their feet on a tree limb and hang their entire body off just to reach the bird feed. It's amazing. I mean, you can only imagine hanging from your feet from a tree limb and being able to support your entire body almost like sideways. While you're eating. Speaking of squirrels, my neighbor's got a dog about the size of some of the squirrels that we have. A little bitty thing. Man, those dogs are loud as can be. I mean, you wouldn't think that something that's, as small as your foot could be so loud, but goodness. They usually keep him inside, but occasionally, he'll get out when they open up the door or something, and he'll meet you in the street and just sit there and bark. Man. Kind of scared me going across the street a couple of days ago. I wasn't paying any attention at all, and all of a sudden I heard this big old yelping noise. I was like, what in the world? Turn around and got that little bitty rat chasing you. Mm. That was a bit fast. I think my favorite dogs so far have been Australian sheepdogs, German shepherds, and Siberian huskies. I've had other various dogs, but those were my favorite. Australian sheepdogs, we had those back when I was in elementary, I believe. Got them from my uncle. He had a little farm, and I guess just had puppies, and we went out one day to pick strawberries and begged him to let us have one. And then of course we had to beg mom to finally let us go ahead and take them home. They gave us two of them, one for me and one for my brother, and those dogs, they got along well together. Of course, you know, they're from the same family, but they were just totally different dogs. One of them was just as quiet and calm as could be, and the other one, he never bit anybody, and he never he wasn't aggressive, but he wasn't tame either. The reason I say that is you couldn't walk up to him and just pet him like you could the other dog. He would in a way kind of try to get you to chase him, but he never would let you get close enough to pet him. But that was kind of his way of playing, I guess. He was never mistreated. Of course, you know, kids. Uh, you're always good to the dogs, but you know, you kind of maybe like pull their hair or something occasionally, not something bad. Like I said, the other dog was just as calm and tame as could be. Towards anybody that was in the yard, as long as they knew you. As soon as a stranger or somebody got close to the yard, then of course they would start barking and all. And I thought that was pretty interesting, because I mean, here I have a dog that's just as quiet and calm as could be, doesn't bark at all, you know, at least not when we're out there in the yard playing with him. And you know, we could invite people over into the backyard, no problems, no issues at all. One day we had a Boy Scout meeting. I was into that when I was in elementary, and one of the kids, I think he went to the bathroom or something, and he came back out into the yard, and for whatever reason he went out. We have our yard split into 3 sections, and for whatever reason he went out, instead of coming back to where we were having our meeting, he went out in the very, very back of the yard. And all we hear is him screaming all the way back up to where we're at. The dogs literally chased him up to us. It was interesting. It's like they know that somebody's not supposed to be back there because we weren't back there, you know. They didn't try to bite him or anything like that, but they did. They chased him all the way back up to where we were at. And another scenario, we were getting on the bus. It wasn't our first day of school, but it was our first day of school for that year. And we were waiting on the bus, and as soon as we get on the bus, which is probably about 5 houses, I guess, from where the bus actually stops to pick us up at, the dogs literally jumped over the fence and chased the bus for at least a good quarter of a mile. One of them actually bit the school bus tire. Luckily he didn't get hurt that we know of, at least by checking on later on that evening. but yeah, he bit the school bus tire, did a couple of rolls. I guess they went home, or I guess maybe parents went and picked him up. I don't know. Not too long after they had passed away, for whatever reason, dogs around here have been real known to catching parvo. I don't know a whole lot about it. I just know it's a bad disease for them. I'm not too sure if it's contagious to humans or not. Like I said, I never checked into it. After they passed away, and they were pretty old, probably somewhere around the 12 to 13 year old. We ended up with I picked out a German Shepherd. My brother picked out a Siberian Husky. I enjoyed playing with the German Shepherd. They've always been a friendly type of a dog from what I've seen. Friendly yet protective, and that's what I like to see. Yet stupid. He was pretty stupid, and I'll get to explain that here in a minute. Then my brother, he had a Siberian Husky, and although they're relatively playful when they're puppies, as they're getting older, they're not quite as playful. You can pet them and stuff like that, but trying to get them to chase a ball, it was kind of a mess on that situation. But I guess lazy is how I would put them. But later on, finding out they are extremely smart. I had a rabbit as well at the same time. He was a long-eared flop. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, they have extremely long ears all the way down to their paws, and he's probably about 4 or 5 years old. We kept him in a rabbit cage. It was built up off of the ground, and one day we decided we were going to move it into the dog pen. We figured it'd just kind of be better to keep all our pets in one area. So we had a dog pen. We moved the rabbit cage in there. And he had been in there a couple of months. We never noticed any issues, but one day the Siberian Husky jumped on top of the rabbit cage, and this is probably a good 5 or 6 feet tall, I guess, cage. He jumped on top of that, got on top of the barn, and then got out into our middle yard that we had separated. And the reason that scenario was quite funny is because the German Shepherd is sitting there yelping, and we couldn't at the time figure out why in the world the German Shepherd was barking, you know. So we go out there, we hang on, we get stopped. Oh boy. Might hit it, maybe not. Nice. Yeah, it kind of hit us a little bit as it was going up. Anyways, we go back there. We were checking on the German Shepherd, and we noticed that the Siberian Husky had gotten out. And it took us a little while to figure out how he got out. But the thing that made that funny was the German Shepherd sitting there, having watched the Siberian Husky get up onto the rabbit cage, onto the barn, and out into the yard, and he couldn't figure out how to do it. And we found out how he was doing it a couple of days later. We had actually witnessed him doing that, so we ended up having to move the rabbit cage away from the barn. Yeah, the German Shepherd, he just he never could figure that part out. The German Shepherd kind of taught my mom a lesson as well. It was hilarious. We had a sliding glass door, and on one of the days where the Siberian Husky had managed to get out into the backyard, they would get up on this porch on top of my mom had a glass table on the porch for, you know, just kind of sitting down, having drinks or whatever. He would get up onto that. My mom would see that, and she would get so aggravated that she would go outside, open up the door, and you know, scat him off, try to get him off the porch. And after about the fourth or fifth time of her doing that, I'm sitting there going, I'm like, who's teaching who here? He wanted her to come outside and play with him. It was just one. I don't know. You had to have been there. She's sitting there trying to train him, keeping him off the tables, and he's done figured it out. If I get on the table, I'll get some attention. Let's see. I had what other kind of dogs did I have? I had one. It was kind of a mutt. It looked a whole lot like a German Shepherd, same color, same patterns, and all that. But it never got very big. It was probably a foot and a half tall, I guess. Am I in town? What's going on? Yep, sure am. Well, I'm still on the highway though. I'm not sure how fast I was going. I think that'd have to be the smartest dog I ever had. Throughout his training process, he caught on to things that just it amazed me. At how quickly I kept him indoors. How quickly I was able to potty train him within. It's hard to say exactly how old he was. Excuse me. It's hard to say exactly how old he was because I got him from the dog pound. He wasn't very old. I'll say a month. But yeah, within a week I had him fully potty trained. And then probably about another week or so later, I started in with trying to get him to chase things and bring it back to me. The only dog that I successfully trained never to bark ever. Never had any issues with him, except for there was one time I did have to leave the house for an extended period of time, and it was pretty early within his training process. He got a hold of. I left the bathroom door open by accident, and he got a hold of the toilet paper and kind of made a mess in there. But outside of that, that's the only issue I think I ever had with him. Just extremely smart and picked up on things really, really quick. Had him trained to go and get his leash whenever he wanted to actually go out and use the restroom. He would bring me his leash and I'd put it on him. So some of the other things, real simple stuff, easy stuff to train your dog to do. Whenever it was time to eat, I would put his bowl on the ground and I would have him sit there and watch me pour it. I don't want because sometimes I would use canned food, sometimes I'd mix it up with the hard crunchy food that you get in the bag, and I don't want that all over him, so I would sit there and I would make sure that he would stay out of the way, sit there, be patient, and let me finish what I'm doing, and then I'd give him the okay command. It's okay, it's time to eat. And he caught on to that real quick. And it's not like I sat there for an hour trying to make food. It's not, I would have the food ready to go in the bowl and just be pouring it. So it's not like I was trying to tempt him to do bad things or be what's the word, mean to the dog. I'll use that. No, he never chewed on anything he wasn't supposed to. Of course, I kept rawhide. That was the big one, rawhide, and of course he had his breathalyzers, breath mint bones that you can give him. And he knew what was his and what wasn't. No, I was saying that he would never bark. You know, I never permitted that. I did allow him to growl or something if we're playing with him. I'd say roughhousing. I wouldn't be extremely rough with him because I mean, A, he's an animal, and B, he was fairly small. But you know, like pulling on ropes and stuff like that, I would permit him to have a good time, be able to growl and make a little bit of a noise there. But no, just everyday life, I didn't want him barking. I do recall having a couple of parakeets back when I was little, but I don't remember what happened to those. I know we didn't keep them very long. I think we attempted to keep them in the house, and I think the smell and all that stuff, we just couldn't handle it. I think we ended up giving those away. I don't know. I had more pets than that, but that's the only things that are sticking out in my mind. Oh, we tried the hamster thing. That was terrible. And goldfish, but uh, that one's one of those ones. That's, I don't know, too messy, a little too messy, and the hamsters stunk. It's not so bad when you first get them, but I'm not sure how in the world you bathe animals like that. I mean, we never attempted. I don't even know if you can. I mean, I'm sure you probably could, but going about the whole process would just it's too much. The German Shepherd and the Siberian Husky that we had at the same time, those dogs were so playful. I can remember we had bicycles. We would hook up leashes on them, and they would drag us around. They were big dogs, and we were pretty small at the time as well. So I don't consider that being mean to them. We didn't like have like a whip sitting there making them do it. They did it on their own. They were having fun. So. Did make the mistake though on our we decided to go ahead and take it out to the road. You know that was kind of a mistake there. Instead of using bicycles, we were using skateboards. Oh, that was a nightmare. The skateboard thing wasn't working out too well, so we decided we'd use what do they call it, rollerblades. Oh man, they drug us forever, and it was hard to get them to stop on rollerblades. It's like, well, what do we do? Fall down, you know? Got a couple of scrapes here and there. I think after about a day of that, we decided that was enough. almost there. 76 more miles. Better slow down. Unusual pets. We have had squirrels. They didn't last very long, unfortunately. What happened? The electric company was going up and down trying to find out where a shortage was, I guess, and come to find out there were some squirrels, I guess, that chewed the lines. And when they were up there, they found a squirrel's nest, and I guess my grandma happened to be outside at the time, so she went ahead and asked them if they would bring the nest down to her, so she could take care of the squirrels. I guess the parents, more than likely, are the ones that caused the issue and probably ended up dying from the electrical shock. So yeah, she took in the squirrels, and I can remember having, I don't know what type of milk, if she used regular milk or if she ended up getting something special, but anyway, I can remember feeding them from a bottle, and that was pretty cool. But I think they lasted probably about a week and a half, and one day it was fairly cold. For whatever reason, they decided to put them out in the garage overnight, or not overnight, while they were gone to the store or something. And it was just a little bit too cold in the garage, and they ended up dying, unfortunately. And I'm not sure, maybe they would have died anyway, not having parents. But yeah, it was unusual and interesting to be able to do something like that. She loved squirrels. She loved animals in general, but squirrels were one of her favorite. And in a way, it really shows. Like I said, the squirrels that are out there back there now, extremely tame. You could probably, if you actually tried, you might be able to hand feed them. I don't know. Never did try that. She never did try it either. Uh-oh. This might not end good, maybe. Alright. Guess we'll go ahead and slow down. Also had a collie. It might have been a little bit of a mix. I'm pretty sure we got it off. I know we got it off the streets, but I don't remember if it was here or we found it somewhere else. But it was a runaway. So we just kind of kept it in the backyard, wondering if anybody would come and pick it up, and nobody ever did. So we ended up going ahead and decided we'd try to keep it in the house for a while, and that was a bit of an unusual dog. We kind of came to the conclusion that maybe the owner had abused it, You could pet it and everything, but if you ever stood up, it would run from you, like it thinks that you're fixing to do something you're not supposed to. It didn't like strangers at all. It would run and hide, and you'd pretty much have to get down on all fours to get the dog to come to you. Excuse me, to get the dog to come to you. And we had that dog for probably about 2 or 3 years, and it was like that the entire time that we had it. Um, yeah, so I don't know. That was the best assumption we could come up with is somebody had been abusing it. I wouldn't say it was really all that playful. It definitely did not like roughhousing at all, not one bit. Um, since we could tell that it had been abused, we would try to let it know that we're playing, and we would never hurt it, but it didn't like that at all. So we gave that up, and we would pet it, and let it sit beside us, and that was about it. It didn't like balls and stuff like that. It didn't like chew toys. That was kind of sad actually. Can we get it in one shot? I think that was also one of the few dogs that I had that never barked, though I never tried to actually train that particular animal. Am I just way off, or is it going to give it to me? Nice. Yeah, I never did actually try to train that dog just because of the fact that we think it had been abused, so we didn't want to push our luck on that. We just gave it the best love we could. Yeah, I can't think of a single time it ever barked or growled. One thing that I do find kind of sad, when it comes to animals, of course, you shouldn't abuse them, never should. But I find it kind of interesting that to abuse an animal in today's society is actually, um, the mentality of it is actually worse than if you were to actually abuse another person. I mean, somebody would actually be shocked. Like, if you were to abuse a person, see somebody abusing a person, you'd probably be maybe shocked or whatever. But you see somebody abusing an animal, and it's like, oh, I can't believe you just did that. That's it's interesting how we think as humans. Ooh, that was close. There we go again. I'm signaling to turn to here. I'm turning into here, but how many turns have I made without signaling? Probably just depends on what I'm paying attention to at the time. Oh, looks like we're almost done. Go ahead and see what we got left. Okay, we got that truck stop there and this street right here. I guess that's going to be an agency. I think I'm going to go ahead and make this a right-hand turn here. There's only one-way traffic can come through anyways. And we'll go ahead and do it one more time. Oh, dealership. Scania. Alright, pick up his job. Nope. I don't think we've been there. That'll work. We'll do that one. Doesn't give much. I'll go to the right so we get the rest of that area uncovered. I forgot to accept the job. Move this trailer out of the way and need to take a short break, and we will get on the road. Alright, be right back. Alrighty, let's open up that map and see where our waypoints are going to take us. Not a whole lot to do there. Yeah. I want to make sure we get that. Let me look at that again. Yeah. We'll leave that. Yeah, we're almost up to 40%. Probably by the time we get this, we might be at 40. I think that'll work. Yeah, back when I was growing up, my neighbors had a Saint Bernard. Man, those things are pretty good size, especially for a fella like me. I've always been small. And well, hang on, actually, let me chase a rabbit for a minute. Hopefully, I can get back on topic. But growing up, we had a riding lawnmower that we used to mow the grass in the back pasture. And oh, I guess probably about 5 years old, I started to learn about those. I wouldn't do it by myself. My granddad would have me in his lap, and he'd kind of let me mess with the steering wheel and teach me this and that. And probably about I don't know, at least by 9 to 10 years old, they actually permitted me to run it by myself. And yeah, so I'm out there in the back pasture, and at this time I'm probably 13, 14 years old out there in the back pasture mowing the lawn all by myself. And one day I got the nerve to decide to stop the lawnmower and go and pet the Saint Bernard that's over in my neighbor's yard. The Saint Bernard, he seemed like a fairly calm dog, but for whatever reason, he did not like you mowing the lawn or being up next to the gate while you're mowing the lawn. Any other time, he didn't seem to have a problem with you just, being out in the yard walking around. Yeah, he would bark and chase that lawnmower like crazy. So yeah, it was about 13 or 14 years old. I get the nerve to shut the tractor off, and I walk over to the fence and just real cautiously and carefully reach over the fence and to pet the Saint Bernard. And he seemed to really enjoy it. I'd scratch him behind the ears, and I sat there for probably a good, I don't know, 5 minutes or so petting him. I was like, okay, well, he's all right, dog. He's maybe now he knows I don't mean him any harm, and I can get back on the lawnmower, and hopefully he won't bark and chase the lawnmower, because it bothered me because I was always worried about him coming over that fence. So I was hoping maybe he'd be a little bit more calmer now. So I turn around, and just as I'm getting ready to hop on the tractor, he jumps up on the fence. Oh, you talk about a heart attack. Oh my goodness. That scared me because I didn't know what his intentions were at that time. And it turned out that of course my neighbors, they were older. They petted him and stuff, but they didn't really, I guess, get down and play with him, like I was attempting to do. And he was wanting that attention. Turns out, oh man, that really scared me though, because I thought that dog, I knew he was coming over that fence. Oh man. See, I learned to drive tractors and all that really young age. Matter of fact, probably 10 or 11 years old. I was actually backing up trailers with it. Also had a uncle that had a red scooter. Now I never actually got to. I probably wasn't even big enough actually to be able to handle it, but never actually got to drive it. However, my uncle would allow us to sit in his lap and hold the steering wheel. Not really a steering wheel. I don't know what you call it, the hand grips or whatever. However you whatever you would call it. He knew our backgrounds and was comfortable enough to allow us to do that. We took a lot of family vacations together, and he brought that, and I had another uncle that also brought I think they were called mopeds, basically a bicycle that. Oh man, I'm gonna miss this turn too. Yeah, we got it. That's probably the longest I've ever been on. How many wheels is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Would that be 5 wheels? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 wheels. Longest I've ever been tipped over like that without actually going all the way over. That was interesting. See, I think they're called mopeds. It's basically a bicycle with a motor, but in order to get it going, you have to kind of pedal it first before the motor will actually kick in. And they had quite a few of those, enough that everybody had their own outside the kids. All the adults had their own. The kids would just hop on with the adults. Either that or grab bicycles. And we had a lot of fun with those. Oh boy. What are we carrying anyway? Because that load seems awful heavy. Yeah, 38,000. Almonds. 38,000? Wow, that's a lot of almonds. Yeah, I learned a lot of about equipment and vehicles from my granddad. He taught us quite a bit. I love grandparents. I mean, they're the parents that spoil you. The parents with experience, I guess you would say. They definitely had a lot of experience because I mean they had me and my brother, and then on my aunt's side they had I think she has 7 children, and one of my uncles had actually I believe both uncles had 2 each. So they definitely had their hands full. I mean they didn't all live there, but you know, visits and all that. They pretty much did raise me and my brother alongside my parents. Like, you know, my mom would be at work, so when we got home from school, uh, we would actually end up just going straight there, and then, you know, mom would come in and we'd eat dinner and then go home. So they had a pretty big hand in raising us for sure. Spent a lot of time with them. Yeah, granddad, he's the one that taught me change the oil and the spark plugs and all that stuff in the tractor and as well as the vehicle. So I learned quite a bit at an early age, earlier than I think most people would. So I feel like I was pretty smart in those particular areas, but then book smart I was not. Definitely wasn't book smart. I think I did just enough to kind of get by, you know. Definitely should have applied myself more. I'd say it's a different kind of smarts for sure. I was the type of person back in elementary school. We'd have book reports like everybody else, and instead of actually taking the time to read a book and fill out a report, I'd go to the library. You know, as a class, we'd go to the library and they'd let us pick out books and all that. I'd go in there and I would grab a book that I was pretty sure that most teachers probably wouldn't be interested in. And for me, I was somewhat interested in dinosaurs. I don't believe in it, but I've always been interested in it. I think as a child, you're always interested in things that are of a large size. And yeah, so I usually end up picking some type of dinosaur book, or you know, just something I felt like the teacher wouldn't be interested in at the time. And instead of actually going through and reading the book, I would open up the very back. And in most books, they give you a man. I hope I'm not giving somebody some ideas here. Don't do this, okay? Do as I say, not as I do. Uh, yeah, I'd open up the back of the book, and they have the like a couple of paragraphs of going over what the book is about and all that. And I'd pretty much copy that, but I would put it in my own words, and I'd make sure that I wouldn't use big words that I wouldn't use in everyday life. And yeah, to my amazement, that actually worked. Never got buzzed. Okay. Wasn't quite sure what his intentions were. Kind of wish he was like that other driver, you know, and pulled off on the shoulder at least if he's going to do that. But I will give him credit, he was going slow and had his flashers on, so don't do that. actually made me and stop to think if I was on the right side of the road or not, because over on the other side of Europe, you would actually be on the other side of the road. I was like, am I on the wrong side here? Yeah, anyways, that's how I would handle book reports. I didn't get in a whole lot of trouble in school. There were a couple of instances. As a matter of fact, in life, I didn't get in a whole lot of trouble. In those few instances I did, it was usually with my mom, and of course she would grab a belt. Now there was one instance I can recall. I don't recall what I did, but I just remember the words coming out of her mouth. Go go pick your belt. Of course you know what's coming. So what do? I go in there and I pick up the flimsiest belt that I could find, made of cloth. It wasn't made of leather or nothing like that. It was made of cloth. Oh, I got such a kick out of that because I knew that wasn't going to hurt me, and she knew it as well. And she's sitting there spanking me, and of course at that time, you're trying not to laugh, but then it comes out. Because, I mean, here she is, she's trying to give you a punishment. She knows it's not doing anything. But, yeah, I ended up laughing, and then she ended up laughing, and it was one of those moments. Kind of funny. And yeah, like I spent a great deal of time with my grandparents, and my grandfather, he never did raise his hand to me. Matter of fact, thinking back, I can't think of very many instances where I actually upset him. I spent so much time with him that I enjoyed the time that I spent with him, and I can't think of really doing anything noteworthy that would involve somebody getting spanked. Now my grandmother, on the other hand, she was a lady, extremely. I can't even express it. She was a lady, extremely loving, caring. Not the type of person that you would ever see wearing blue jeans. She almost always wore a dress or slacks unless she was going to be out in the yard, which was very, very seldom. There were a couple of times that I did get a spanking from her, and I'll tell you, that's not something that you ever want to experience. If you've ever been spanked by a grandma that was raised back in the day, yeah. There's no hands involved. There's no belts involved. She would walk out in the back and grab a peach tree limb, and I don't know if you've ever been spanked with one of those, but oh my goodness! Make sure if you're ever gonna get hit with one of those, you're not wearing shorts. You want to be in some pretty thick blue jeans, because that will leave a whelp, and you don't even have to hit somebody very hard. And I think that was the reason. I think that was part of the reason behind it. When she was growing up, that's what she got spanked with from her mother. It was usually a peach tree limb or something of that sort. And I think that comes from, it doesn't take a whole lot of strength to be able to lay the punishment down, and yet it has an effect. I had, especially me, because I'm real fair skinned, so it doesn't take much for me to whelp up a little bit. And she wasn't abusive, don't get me wrong. It's not like she took it and sat there and beat you. It's more like a fly swatter. You just kind of wiggle it a few times, and that's all it takes. Man, if you've ever been spanked with one of those, nothing else will ever compare. You would literally almost have to abuse a child before you're actually going to do any pain to them with a belt or anything. So yeah, back to being in school. I can only think of one time that I got in trouble enough that actually warranted me getting a spanking, and it was me and two other kids that were involved. One of them was heavily into sports, so he's a fairly good-sized guy. One wasn't much bigger than I was, and don't remember what we were doing. I just remember the three of us got in trouble, and the teacher that we had, and it kind of breaks my heart looking back on it, because she in a way reminded me a lot of my grandmother, the way she carried herself, and being an older lady as well. And she was a extremely caring person. Um, so yeah, the three of us, she sent us down to the principal's office, and of course in our heads, we heard all kinds of horror stories about you never want to get spanked by the principal because he has an electric paddle. Of course, that's, as a kid you actually kind of believe that, but an adult would be like, yeah, right. So here we are with that thought in our head, and we're sitting there on the way to the principal's office, and we're shaking in our boots there. So we get down there, and principal sat down. He kind of talked to us for a couple of minutes, verifying what we had done, and just kind of getting the whole story together, and what actually took place, what was going on before he actually decided to go ahead and open up his drawer. Boy, slow down. His drawer, and he pulls out this paddle, and I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm like, okay, well, it's not electric, but it was a fairly good sized wooden paddle. I've never been paddled in my life. It's always been a belt, and like I said, I at that point I think I was in that'd be the 4th grade. So at that point in my life, I wasn't scared of belts. I knew they hurt, but not enough to make me cry or nothing like that. But I'd never been paddled, so I didn't know what to expect. Man, I was nervous. And as he raised the paddle to get ready to spank us individually, he came to me, and it was my turn. And he sat there, he raised the paddle, and just kind of let it drop. And he hit us all about with the same amount of force. And I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!" Here I am. I was after the first one. I thought maybe that was just a warm up. And he did it again, the second time. I was like, seriously? Okay, maybe he's still warming up. Here I'm expecting to actually feel something by the 3rd time. But no, he just kind of gave us I guess it would be a love tap. And after all said and done, I was like, in my head, I'm sitting there thinking, wow, my mom hits harder than that. Yeah. But another thing that cracked me up about that situation is here I am kind of laughing in my head, trying to hold it back. When the other 2 boys came out, they were crying, and I sat there, I watched them, so I know he didn't hit them any harder than he hit me, but they were crying, and I was like, wow, have you kids never been spanked in your entire life, or what? And especially the big guy, the one that was into sports. I mean, this guy's probably at least twice my size, and I was expecting him to come out like I was, kind of distraught at not actually feeling any pain or anything. But no, they were both crying, and so that was something else I was trying to hold back. I was like, why in the world are you guys crying? After that was all said and done, guys are kind of weird. Once you've been put in a situation, most of the time, you forget why you were mad at each other, and you end up kind of being friends in a way. I mean, I never did actually become friends with them per se, but I was actually able to actually go up and say hi to them and whatnot. But we never actually hung out. Yeah, guys are totally weird, totally different. Whereas I've seen a lot of girls get in fights, and boy, they hold grudges. And they're nasty when they get in fights too. I mean, usually as a guy, it's going to be nothing but your fists or something. Whereas female, I have seen females pull hair out. I mean, they just vicious, claw marks. I mean, things that will, leave you scarred for a couple of days. Whereas guys, if you get a bruise or a bloody lip or something, no big deal. It's gone within a couple of 2 or 3 days. But I mean, you're talking claw marks and pulled out hair. It's whole different ball game. Yeah, definitely. I would say stay away from peach tree limbs growing up. Memories that you'll never forget. And I hope that doesn't come across as abusive, because it wasn't. I totally deserved what I got, and actually I'm grateful that those circumstances arose, because I think instances like that kind of make who you are. And I see a lot of people that actually refuse to spank their kids and give them time out. And looking back on later in the life, I see those people, and I'd say a good portion of them. No, I'm not gonna say all of them, but a good portion of them. I'm gonna say did not turn out to be real nice people. And we did have I wouldn't say timeouts, but we did have a couple instances where, you know, things that we did really didn't warrant being spanked, but you know, maybe we get a toy taken away or something like that, and have to sit in our room and think about it. So we did have moments like that, but definitely I did grow up in the with the whole spanking scenarios. That's got to be hard as a parent, trying to figure out when is the proper time to actually spank someone. It's not all instances warrant it, but at the same time, trying to figure out a good punishment. Kind of felt it tip just a little bit. Yeah, later on in life, though, we agitated my grandmother pretty much quite often. You know, we'd make a mistake or something, and then we'd turn to her, "Oh, what are you gonna do? Go grab a peach tree limb or something?" Or we'd say something like, "Oh, you better be careful. She'll go out there and get that stick after you." You know, make it sound like she's a mean grandma, but she wasn't. She wasn't. She's about as sweet as you could get. Probably one of the best cooks in my opinion too. That's where she spent the majority of her time. Was if she wasn't in the kitchen, she was cleaning something. That house was pretty immaculate. And it was very rare for her to actually come outside the house. She was an extremely light complected lady. And she did get out on occasions, you know, do a little bit of yard work or something. She couldn't do a whole lot. She was a smaller lady than I am. Of course, I'm not a lady, but you get the idea. She was smaller than I am. Matter of fact, I don't think she was probably. I know she wasn't 5 foot. Probably 4'8", somewhere in there. Really, really tiny. She also had a heart condition, so she couldn't be outside when it got real warm. But she did enjoy it. Family vacations and stuff, she'd be outside. But, no, most of the time it was indoors cooking and cleaning. And I don't know how she did it. It wasn't just for us either. She would bake cinnamon rolls and cookies and all kinds of stuff, and send them out to camps and stuff that we attended. She definitely kept her hands full. think a lot of people are very, very unfortunate to not have been around grandparents or spent a lot of time with their parents. I think if that happened in today's life, definitely society in general would be a whole lot different. Oh boy. Alright, slow down. Yeah, those are some of my fondest moments of being around my grandparents. Really spending a lot of time with my granddad and enjoying my grandma. And my granddad, he was a hard worker. Not only did he teach us what he knew, it also in the evening times would sit down and open up a book, and he would read to us. Matter of fact, he taught me how to read. It's a bit unusual because my grandparents had a way of teaching us things that if somebody else was to try to teach me, I would just get bored out of my mind. But they had a way of doing it that it really, I don't know, it got my attention. It made me want to be involved. I mean, you could take something as simple as my grandma was really heavy into ceramics and things. And so normally, most boys don't like playing with dolls and stuff. And I didn't either. But at the same time, she was able to get me involved into helping her make ceramics. So that was really interesting. Glad I did that. Oh, he almost tipped over. He pulled it off though. Ugh, nighttime parking. Here we go. Oh, might actually pull this off. Maybe I shouldn't speak too soon. Wow. Alright. Unhitch the trailer. Let it drop. Nice. Can't believe that. What level are we again? Almost. Probably one more trailer and we'll see what we can do. Yeah, I think growing up, the fear of disappointment, I think, probably played a big role in my everyday lifestyle as far as not getting into trouble. You know, I didn't want to disappoint my grandparents. I think that kept me out of trouble a lot. Let me look at the map real quick. I think we'll go that way. I'll save that. Yeah, I would say definitely the fear of disappointing them, as well as them keeping us so occupied with various projects. You know, like working on the car, the tractor, or you know, reading us a book. You know, basically just spending time with them. Um, Kept me out of a lot of trouble. The want to even cause trouble. You can also remember growing up, I would aggravate my mom at times where you know something would go wrong. I can't think of an exact scenario, but you know something would go wrong, and she would do things, and I would immediately I would say something like child abuse. You know, that would always aggravated her that way. Of course, eventually she said, "You haven't seen child abuse yet." She'd say stuff like that. Out of joking of course, nothing serious. I used to pick on her a lot. I kind of shy away from it now. I don't do it nearly as often, but I would do things that would make her second guess things. I'll try to give an example. She'll go and pour a glass of tea or something, and I would take it and I would dump it back in the pitcher when she's not looking, and then you know put the glass back on the counter, and she would come back and she'd be like, you know, she'd kind of stand there for a second. She'd be like, I know I just put tea in that thing, you know, and I wouldn't say a word. I just let it go. Yeah, I did stuff like that to her all the time, and later on in life, I can remember. That was probably about oh I don't. I don't even. Probably 17, I guess, maybe. I know I was fairly new to driving, being able to drive alone. So yeah, probably somewhere between 16 and 17. At 16, we actually got our license, but I wasn't actually allowed to drive alone. You know, it's the whole parent thing. You know, you want to make sure that your kids are going to be safe before. Better get repairs. before you actually let them go out on their own. You know, kind of like a little stepping stone type thing. And I can remember rolling into a mall and seeing her vehicle, which I had keys to at the time. Upgrade. No, I said I had like one more trip to go through. Let's take a look at our map. Looks good. Grab some freight. That one sounds different. Yep, looks good. So anyway, I strolled into the mall and saw her vehicle, and I had keys to it, so I went ahead and hopped into her vehicle, and I moved it to the about 4 or 5 rows down, you know. And then I got back into our vehicle and went to the other side of the mall so she wouldn't see it. And just as I was getting out of the vehicle, getting ready to go in the mall, my phone rings. And I looked at it, and of course it was her. So I went ahead and I answered the phone, trying my best not to giggle, and picked up the phone. And I said hello, and she said, "Where's my car?" I tried to play it off. Of course I couldn't. She knew me. She knew me a little too well. Yeah, just instances like that. I had a pretty good at the time. I pestered her so much in life that when something went wrong, she knew where it was or who to come to, anyways. Oh, uh, sigh, double sigh. I think I did better when I was talking. That's scary.